Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, the city of Dallas is the 9th largest city in the United States of America. It has 1.3 million people in its city limits alone, and its metro area that surrounds the city is the 4th largest metro in the country at 7.5 million people. Within our lifetimes, we're possibly going to see Dallas overtake Chicago to be the 3rd largest metro area because it's growing very fast. A lot of people are moving there. I moved there myself included. Dallas County, Texas is a very blue county, and we know that. It voted for Bush in 2004, partially because he had that home state advantage factor, but I mean, it's also true that the county has changed quite a bit. It did vote for Republicans before him, and since then, however, it's moved to the left. 2008, just 4 years later, it voted for Obama by 16 points, voted for Obama by close to that again. It voted for Hillary 60-34 over Trump, and it voted for Joe Brandon 65-33 in 2020. So Dallas County is probably a little bit less blue than the city of Dallas. And you might ask the question, you've been going on about Dallas for 90 seconds, and obviously you guys know why if you've seen the title, but the real reason that this is a big deal is because Dallas is a very blue big city, but their mayor has announced today, this morning, Eric Johnson, that he is switching parties. He is joining the Republican Party. He will be there until 2027. He has basically a full term to go as a Republican mayor of the city of Dallas. He does not have to step down. He is not eligible to run for re-election. But nevertheless, Dallas has gotten their Republican mayor. Dallas is a Republican mayor. Fort Worth has a Republican mayor. I think Arlington may actually have one as well. And it's very interesting. You see this culture shift in Texas. First of all, you see Ken Paxton somehow survive that impeachment sham trial that they gave him in the Texas State Senate. And then on top of that, another brutal blow to Democrats that are trying to demoralize Republicans in the state of Texas. Their mayor of the 3rd largest city that is in the largest metro in the state of Texas has switched parties. He is now a Republican. And now it is true that Eric Johnson was somebody who was not necessarily your far left Democrat. He is not exactly a base super conservative guy. I'm not going to claim that he is. However, nonetheless, it is true that he was a little bit out of step from a lot of these other people in his party when it came down to things like lowering taxes, when it came to common sense crime policies. Democrats in the 90s weren't so bad on crime. Everybody knows that. You had bipartisan bills that would pass the House and the Senate with support from both parties that happened to be very tough on crime, help lower the crime in the country. You saw the spike in crime in the 90s. It took right care of that because there were common sense policies, and I think that helped play a major role at a very minimum. And on top of that, it's crazy because now you see Democrats trying to release all of these prisoners. They're trying to push through these jailbreak bills, and even Republicans are doing this as well. The First Step Act, I think, was a big mistake of Trump's presidency. At the time, I was more of a libertarian. I defended it. I supported it. I was wrong because what it did is it released a bunch of criminals from jail, and it did a lot more harm than it ended up doing good in the long run. And you see a lot of these mayors of these cities, they don't have to be super conservative necessarily. I don't know if that's really the role of the mayor, but they have to make their cities livable. They have to make their cities livable. You should be able to walk down the street in downtown Dallas and not fear for your life at night. And Eric Johnson has been a very solid mayor when it comes down to that, to the point where it's not really all that surprising that he's switching parties. Now, honestly, it also gives him more political leeway too. He can probably get away with being more overtly conservative on certain things. And like I said, he doesn't exactly have to be some sort of, very, very conservative, socially conservative mayor, but he has to have common sense, has to make his city run properly. And now that he's a Republican, I think there's going to be a lot more expectations there from a lot of people on the right to see that possibly happen. And hopefully, if he sets a good example, you could see more and more Republican mayors of these big cities. And I think that's a very good thing. They don't have to be socially conservative. They're going to have to maintain a possibility of getting elected. But even like Rudy Giuliani, New York in the 90s was a very blue city then, just as it is now. If anything, it may have even been bluer than the now at like the presidential level or so. But he was able to become mayor, and he was able to get a lot done regarding crime and making New York City go from one of the more dangerous cities in the country, dangerous big cities, to one of the safest big cities in the world overall. And I think having more Republican mayors, even if they're not perfect on all the issues, but they have common sense positions on things like this, like taxes, like the cost of living, for example, like policies regarding crime, I think it's a very good thing. And hopefully this can lead to a domino effect. Hopefully you can see more big cities have these Republican mayors. Now, what do we exactly think that Eric Johnson's political future is going to be? Well, either way, as a mayor, he would not have been able to run for another term. Is he possibly thinking about running for statewide office at some point? Well, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. And I think seeing how he leads Dallas over the next 4 years or so would be the litmus test to really see if he would be somebody that I would choose to want to put in that position. But nonetheless, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. It's a brutal blow to the Dems, even if you want to say it's more of an own the libs type of thing, because Eric Johnson is not exactly going to change his policies probably a whole lot, but they already were relatively decent for somebody who would be a mayor of a city that big. I guess now he can be a little bit more outwardly conservative. And he wrote an op-ed talking about this, criticizing Democrats for how they've been weak on crime, how they've been cutting police funding, how they have been exacerbating these problems regarding homelessness. And he's actually saying that American cities need Republicans and Republicans need American cities. He wrote this essay on the Wall Street Journal. And when it comes down to Republicans needing American cities, I think that that's also true, because we're not going to be able to take back this country unless we control the institutions. Where are the institutions located? They're not in the farms. They're not in these rural areas somewhere in the middle of nowhere. No, they're in these large cultural centers. They are the big cities. I don't even know if that's what Johnson was really hinting at there. Possibly not. But either way, that is actually very true, and it does go both ways. So when you look at this and you see what's going on there in Texas, this is the culture shift in the state of Texas. Hopefully we can shift the momentum back, demoralize Democrats in the state. Their state party is in shambles. The Republican Party, even though they have some rhinos in the Texas State House, and we do need to work on that, and we do need to fix that, it is true that the mechanics within the party are actually fairly solid, and they understand what's at risk in these future election cycles with the state moving left due to various reasons. You have demographic changes in the state. You also have certain trends in these suburbs working against Republicans. But nonetheless, they're ready to fight to find every last vote to keep the state as red as possible for the longest time possible. And also possibly, hopefully, we can shift the culture of Texas and continue to make it a conservative state and maintain that reputation to the point where liberals are not going to want to move into Texas. Many possibly would want to move out of Texas, go to Colorado, go to the Pacific Northwest, etc., because that's going to keep the state redder long term. Also, you have to deal with immigration, etc. The border crisis is a huge problem. But nonetheless, you see this culture shift. It is a white pill. Ken Paxton acquitted. Now you have Eric Johnson, who is the mayor of Dallas, former Democrat, announced he is switching to the Republican Party. And he said America's cities need Republicans, and I'm becoming one. And honestly, I believe it's genuine, because I don't really think he had much to gain by switching his party, knowing he's going to get a lot of bad press about it, knowing that he's going to have a lot of people in the city council and a lot of voters very angry at him. But he decided to do what's right and double down on common sense, and hopefully he can change some minds. I don't really know what the implications are for the presidential race. If he maintains his popularity, maybe he'll speak at the RNC. Maybe you talk about that being something that could sway some independent voters. I don't know. But what it really does come down to for 2024 is the fact that you talk about issues like crime and the degradation of our cities. That's what helped Lee Zeldin do so well in that governor's race up in New York. He didn't cave. He didn't run as a liberal. He really didn't cave on any issue. What he did is he talked about crime. He actually ran a very conservative campaign on certain issues, but they were common sense issues, and that helped Republicans win. If we run a campaign overall, not just in terms of Trump's campaign, but all Republican campaigns, if they talk about crime and they have effective messaging on crime, then 2024 is going to be a lot easier, in my opinion, than if they wouldn't. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Make sure you guys like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.